Good start. Hello, my name is Elle, and I am making this video as a practice for my own self benefit to work on becoming more confident in using my voice and explicitly becoming more authentic in how I speak. I have a lot of feelings that come up immediately about imperfection, and I feel like those feelings are one of the primary things that block someone from becoming the best version of themselves. We live in a society, I hate that already, but we definitely live in a time where there's so many messages about self-censorship and perfection and what it means to earn the right to speak, which I do think is a valuable concept. Very quick side tangent on that. Well, maybe not quick, we'll see how long it takes, but I do think that there's something to be said about earning expertise and being willing to commit to hard work and putting in effort to become an expert. And a lot of times, the world in which we live really rewards quick results and, taking like a 2 hour course to be an expert in something. And this is a concept I've thought about a lot because I'm interested in pursuing the healing arts. And I learned, my friend with Mexican heritage was telling me about the curandera practice, which is Mexican folk medicine, and how, also, this could be wrong, this is word of mouth, but it stuck with me. How in the first 10 years of practice of curandera, people, trainers, can only practice on themselves, the healing techniques. And in the second 10 years, they can only practice on their friends and family. And then in the final decade is when they actually are able to practice on other people. And contrast that with, at one point, I had a friend who I love who was recommending that I try doing craniosacral therapy as a healing form because there's so many different healing modalities, and I'm just exploring what resonates with me, and I was looking into that, and I do think it's a beautiful practice, but what came across my way was a like 1 weekend training that makes you able to begin practicing this healing modality, and that just like contrasting that with 30 years of practice to become a healer that's earned the right to care for other people really hit me in my core, of why we need to have integrity in what we share. And that the internet is full of alleged expertise about various things, and I think that this phase of my life is me learning to situate myself. And specifically, by learning, I've been taking a decolonizing shadow work course with Doctora Rocio Meza. And I think a lot of what I'm learning from that is learning to situate myself in the river of all of life. And that means being able to recognize without any shame associated with it where my level of skill and not lack of skill exists, and still owning myself in that place. Because the colonial world really frequently demands perfectionism. Look at me, imperfect. Not, I don't, I'm like sitting on my toes. I don't like that. Now we're on a pillow. Yeah, so I think that for a long time, I felt very stuck in this idea of perfectionism and in thinking that I should be an expert and I don't want to wrongfully claim expertise. And if I use my voice, then I'm taking, falsely presenting myself as an expert. But reality is that I am an expert in my own experience. And I'm not forcing anyone to engage with my experience, but I am interested in learning to authentically exist in the world without feeling like I need to perform, or without feeling like I need to be different than who I am. And there's so many elements of my journey. By the way, I had no clear timeline for what I'm saying, and it's completely tangential, but yeah, this year I've been spending the year in Australia. And I moved from Texas after being in the same little town where I knew everyone for 6 or 7 years, and having the same job for 3 years, and being really involved in community work, and having a pretty visible role doing community organizing, and feeling like I had like made a place for myself that I fit into. And now I'm in a place where I'm, you know, I moved with my older sister, but I don't have that community, and I don't have that sense of like earned place, and I don't have the connection to the land. And even the jobs that I'm able to apply for on my visa are generally pretty new types of roles for me, and very humbling. And it's been a phase of feeling very hermity and not as seen, but I'm trying to use that to my own advantage of letting this be a quiet chapter of apprenticeship and learning and building myself and strengthening my voice. And I think that I don't fully know why, deep in my heart, why my voice matters. And I think that that's why I'm trying to practice using it to see if answers come to me. And I would also say that I consider myself an artist. And a lot of art is about just going for it, having an inspiration, having an idea, and then launching into whatever the hell feels right, and seeing what comes of it. And there's something about that state of flow that brings about so much excellence that exists in the human and more than human world. And I think there's so many different modalities to tap into flow, and our voice is definitely one of them. And I think I've been a writer and a thinker my whole life. When I was a little kid, probably like 5 to 12 mainly, was around the age that I loved to write like every day. I would go sit at my parents' laptop and I would just type. Got a cough. And I would write stories, and a lot of them were very fantastical stories about elves and fairies and treasure hunts and things like that. I loved writing about adventures. And at some point I stopped. I think that school and the format of like forcing people to write about things that they don't care about really took away my desire for writing creatively and my ability to like tap into that flow that I used to tap into for hours. Like I would spend such a long time just sitting there looking up synonyms for words to find the best possible word to describe something. And that was such a delightful process for me. So I'm trying to tune back into the child that I was. And it's humbling to do that in a world where social media makes people so curated. I think it's really difficult to harmonize back with my authentic self and to be in alignment with what my true voice is. That's not one that's becoming a smaller and smaller box for every person that I think might perceive me, that sees me in different ways, that I want to be seen in a specific way. And so I started this without closing the door behind me, without any plan of what I was going to say, because I'm wanting to learn to flow with my voice. And yeah, I am a big writer still, but I'm not a writer who shares my writing much. I write pages every day, and I have like a typed out journal that's almost 500 pages, and I have like 6 other journals that I'm writing in constantly. I bring them everywhere with me. have a lot of opinions on things, and I love to learn. And I love to take notes on the things that I'm learning. And I love having nerdy conversations with my friends about the things that I'm learning. Mm, and I love learning what other people are learning, and I love experiencing what things are going on in other people's little minds. So I think that's why I'm sharing. I also something that just like kick-started me a few months ago was one of my dearest friends, Tatum, told me that your words die with you if you choose not to share them. And even though I'm a tiny piece of dust in the cosmic universe, there is something innately compelling about the idea of preserving a part of myself in the story of life and letting there be something that is true to me exist in the story. So I have made this little video, and hopefully I keep showing up in more authentic ways every day. And I have no idea what that will look like, but this is a step in the journey.